Hello everyone, hope you guys are doing great. Welcome you once again in another exciting session of ACCA second class, that is and we are discussing paper F1, and we have already discussed chapter number 1 in detail in the last lecture, and I hope the concepts of that chapter number 1 are clear. And today we are going to discuss second chapter, that is the business organization and structure. As you can see, all the contact details are mentioned, so you can contact me by using any of that media, right? So are you ready? Yes. Okay. Do you remember in the last lecture I have given you some you can say a kind of quizzes just to test your knowledge whether you have learned it or not, and I hope you have done it and you have done it in the right way, right? So let's check it. Before going to start chapter number 2, let's check your answers. Right now I'm going to tell you or show you the answers of all those questions which we have done in the last lecture, in fact which I have given you to solve it by yourself, right? Okay, now match your answers with mine, right? So okay, meanwhile you can take your notebooks, right? Where have you done it, so you can see it whether it was right or wrong. Okay. Number 1, that was a question, which of the following statement regarding the type of business is correct? Number 1, partnerships are owned and run by one or more people. No, partnerships are owned and run by 2 or more people, right? So only this one word confused you, right? Okay, private, so means that option is not correct. Private limited companies can sell their shares. No, public limited companies can sell their shares, so that's also a wrong option. Shareholders in a company typically have limited liability. Yes, public limited companies shareholders have the limited liability. And the last is again incorrect. The owner of the sole traders typically have limited liability. No, the owner of the sole traders has unlimited liability, right? Okay, so option number C is the right answer. Greenwatch is an independent environmental charity set up to lobby the government for improved business, environmental regulation on the business. What type of organization is Greenwatch? Okay, so it's public sector. No, it's an independent organization, right? So it's not public sector. It's cooperative. No, because cooperative are those which have been created by the members, right? So third is it's an NGO, non-governmental organization, right? So third option means option number C is option number C is the correct option, right? And it's not commercial because it's the purpose is not to generate the profit. Okay, next one was which of the following statement regarding the organizations are correct? Okay, companies tend to raise money from central government. Usually not, right? So means option number A is not correct. Most of the sole traders in the partnerships have the aim of maximizing owners' wealth. Yes, sole proprietorship and or sole traders in the partnership have this aim. So means option B is correct, means 2 number is correct. Public sector organizations are controlled by the central government. Yes, to very extent they are controlled by the central government. Public sector organizations are those organizations which are owned and controlled by the government. So the option 3 is also correct. Charities formed from the public sector. No, not usually, right? So option 2 and 3 means option C is the correct answer. Okay, I hope your answers are matching with my answers as well, right? Okay, so if it is, so you can say, yeah, bravo, you have done it, you are learning at a very good speed, right? So the sixth next is there are 4 statements relating to the feature of the organization, right? Here the features of the organizations are given, and here the type of companies are mentioned. Okay, number 1, this type of organization can sell its shares to public. So that is a public limited company, right? So option A will be written in front of 3. So here we write it's an A. Okay, this type of organization is owned by the 2 or more people. 2 or more people, partnership. So here option B, right, in front of the partnership. This is in front of this, right? Okay, this type of organization is controlled by the government. Public sector organizations, as we little earlier discussed, right? And D, this type of organization is owned and democratically controlled by the members. You remember we have said the cooperatives are owned and democratically run by its members. So this is the option D. So others are neither sole trader option is given, or nor the private limited company. So these four are partnership, public limited company, cooperative, and public sectors, right? Okay, next is, below are the four types of organization: charities, schools, limited companies, police. What is the requirement? Write down which two of the above are most likely to be classified as a part of private sector. So which one is the private sector? Number one, charities. They are the private sector organization, right? Not owned by the government. Limited companies, they are also the private sector companies, right? Police force, no, it is not. It's normally government owned companies. And schools are also usually owned by the government. So in UK we take schools as the government owned organization. So option A and C are the correct options, right? So you hope you might some of you might have been confused maybe in schools, that they might be thinking that schools are coming under the private organizations. So if it's private, so we can say, but normally they are government owned public schools. Okay, next is, which of the following would be considered to be an organization? Sole trader? No, sole trader is not an organization, right? Okay, tennis club? Yes, it is. Hospital? Yes, it is. What is organization? Remember the definition? It's a social arrangement. Social arrangement. And the second option was what? Controlled performance. And the third is collective goal. So in sole trader there's one person, so there's no social arrangement, right? There's no collective goal. In tennis club, yes, there is. And in hospital, obviously, yes, social arrangement, few people working together, and there's the controlled performance, one common goals that might be providing the quality health facilities, right? So it's option 2 and 3. So here is our right option is the C. Got it? Okay. So that was all about the previous chapter, and if there's any deviation between your answers and my answers, so you can check it out, and if still there's some confusion, so you can discuss it with me through emails, messages, or WhatsApp, whatever as you feel convenient, right? Okay, so ready for the next chapter? That's chapter number 2. Chapter number 2 is all about the organizational structure, right? Okay, what we are going to discuss in chapter number 2, we will see that how the organizations are formed, structured, right? So here we'll discuss entrepreneurial structure, matrix structure, functional, divisional, geographical, by product, boundaryless structures, and then boundaryless we have virtual, hollow, modular. So we'll discuss all these forms of structures that usually exist in the business world, right? Okay, so then we'll discuss organizational structure concept on the basis of what? Separation of ownership and control, separation of direction and management. We can also classify the organization based on the direction, which kind of and types of directions are existing in the organizational structure. What is span of control and scalar chain? We will also discuss. What is tall and flat organizations? So what is the difference between tall structure and the flat structure? And we'll also discuss the concept of outsourcing and offshoring and shared services. So these are the terms you might have not heard it, or even if you might have heard it, so you may have some confusion about it. So we are going to explain that what these are and how organizations are using these concepts in their structures, right? Explain the characteristic of what? Strategic, tactical, and operational levels. So there are 3 levels usually exist in the organizations. So we will discuss what these levels are and how they are interlinked with each others, right? So we'll also discuss Anthony hierarchy as well, right? Further, we will elaborate in this chapter the concept of centralization and decentralization, what these 2 terms are and what are their benefits, and you can say the pros and the cons, right? See here you can see sorry, yes, advantages and disadvantages. Okay, describe the role of the function of the main departments in business organization. Okay, there are various departments in organizations. We'll discuss what do the research and development department do, purchasing, production, services, and marketing, etc., right? So we'll discuss in detail, especially in marketing. We will discuss in detail that what is the definition of marketing, what is the concept of marketing mix. You might have studied in your earlier classes, but here we'll be elaborating it from the context of the organizational structure, right, and how it is marketing plan is related to the strategic plan. So that's all we are going to discuss in this chapter. So hope you guys are ready for to take off on this, and in fact take on in this chapter, right? So it may we will may make two videos about the chapter. So the next video might be in continuation of the chapter number 2, right? Hope you have the pen and the pencil or the copy or the notebook with yourself, so you are ready. Okay, we'll begin with the concept. What is organizational structure? What does it mean? Structure, as you see, normally when we use the word structure, so we refer to the physical structure, like you see bricks and walls and you can say roof of a building. No, here we are not going to discuss the physical structure of the organization, which is consist of building, walls and roofs and doors, etc. Here we are going to discuss how it operates, in which way it works, right? So organizational structure is concerned with the ways in which the work is divided up and allocated, means who will do what, right? So basically it's a kind of a hierarchical system, that how many people will be there, how many departments will be there, and who will report to whom, and who will be the senior, and what will be the chain of command, who is going to report who, and what will be the procedure. So all these are the things, the issues that we will that are discussed under organizational structure. So it outlines what the roles and the responsibilities of individuals and the groups within organization, means who will perform what and who is answerable to who, right? So this discussion comes under the heading of organizational structure, right? So structure of the organization will change over a time as the company grows. Yes, obviously, when it's small, so structure is different. When it gets bigger and bigger, so the structure keep on changing, and we will see in our upcoming slides that how it keeps on changing. So there are various forms and types of structures that organizations are formed. So let's discuss all these one by one. So first one is entrepreneurial culture, form of the structure is a structure where we have a small company, small business, and the total focus is the owner, right? So its structure is built around the owner manager, right? So there might be few people working in that organization. It's a small organization. An entrepreneur is a person who is basically the owner of the organization, or who is the one who has taken the risk for this initiative, and he has started or she has started the business, right? So it's a typical small business and in the early stages of development, right? See, so when the business is started, usually when a small business is started, so it has an entrepreneurial kind of formation, right? So one owner, few managers, few people working and closely linked to each other. So that kind of form structure is called as entrepreneurial. So it's not culture, form of structure is called as, right? It's also often found where entrepreneur is a specialized or specialist knowledge, so of the product and service. Like for example, if I am very good at making shoes, so I started a small shoe outlet or a factory where few people are working making shoes, and then we are selling. So I have a specialized knowledge where I can get the leather or the raw material and how is it processed and where I can get the machines. So if I need a few people, a small unit I can establish and I can start it, right? So such kind of form of structure is called as entrepreneurial. So it has advantages: fast decision making. Obviously, when there's a few people, maybe one owner, he's the sole decision maker, or she is the sole decision maker, so they can take quick decisions, more responsive to the market, or so few people easily responds to the market, right? Correct, see, fastly and quickly. Goal congruence, so few people sit together and they can reach to a consensus to form or formulate a goal. Good control, it's easy to control less number of people. And close bond to workforce, yes, when there are few people and in the beginning there is a lot of enthusiasm, there is a lot of passion involved in it, and everyone is working to make that organization as prosperous as they could, right? What are the disadvantages? Lack of career structure, so there is no such career path in it, like there is very small kind of structure. Dependent on the capabilities of the manager, yeah, there are 2, 3, 4 managers, few managers, so the owner has to depend on it. We don't means in entrepreneurial form of government, we cannot have too much specialized and expert people, so whatever the manager's capacities are, we have to rely on it. And so and cannot cope with the diversifications, right? So or the growth, it's not easy, it's in fact rather difficult to diversify their business, because less resources, small business, few people, few expertise, so it cannot handle the diversification at that time, right? So these are some pluses and minuses. Another form of structure, organization structure, is functional or departmental structure, right? Functional or departmental, as the name clarifies, when there are few departments in it, right? A similar task is into few departments, right? So we can pool the task together and make one department, and then there's another department, and then another department. So this structure is often found in organizations that have outgrown. So you see, it's a kind of a second stage. See, it's outgrown the entrepreneurial structure. So in the very early stage, it was an entrepreneurial, and now it's getting little bigger, not that big, but it's, you see, it's a growth stage. So now they are forming different departments. So such kind of structure is very appropriate, where there are few products. Now companies making few products or operating at few locations. So and little you can see a relatively a stable environment is there. So it's not only at a very volatile situation, like at a very early situation, companies are facing, they are normally vulnerable, and they have to face a lot of threats and risks. But when it gets little growth, so the revenue is now coming, they are getting a little stable. Now they are operating at few locations as well, and they might have added number of products to their product line as well. So such kind of organization then is forming another kind of structure that is called functional and departmental. It looks like this, you see. On the top, it might be a board of director, then one department marketing, then within marketing, then there might be few people working, salesman, sales officer, marketing officer, marketing manager, like these. So this entire team is working on the marketing, identifying customer needs, and then providing the product and satisfying customers, you can say needs as well. Production department, some people working together producing a product. In finance department, there may be few people managing the entire finances of the organization. And in personnel department, which is called as HR department, so they are responsible for, you can say, hiring, firing, making HR policies, and human resource development, and training and development, and so many other areas, right? So you see, now there are function. So marketing function, one department, production function, another department, finance function, another department, and so on. You can add more to it. So in these, there are such kind of departments exist separately. So that is what we call as, now this organization has a departmental structure or functional structure. What are the benefits? Simple. Now the company is operating at a little bigger scale, so you can say now they are enjoying the economies of scale. Now what is economies of scale? Economies of scale means when you are operating, when you are producing more, so your per unit cost reduces. So now let's suppose previously they were producing 1000 units and the per unit cost was, let's suppose you can say $100. Now they are producing 10,000 units, so the per unit cost might have reduced from 100 to 90 or something like that. So now the profit margin increases, or even they can lower down the prices to increase the sales as well. Clear? Another advantage, now there is standardization. Now they might have adopted more updated machines, latest machines, you can say, where the quality is improved and there are standardizations, or they might got certifications from, you can say, UK award or European quality award, or you can say ISO standards, various. So they know there is a standardization among the quality of the product. They are following a standardized procedures. Specialize or specialist in more specialist more comfortable. Now they can hire some specialists, specialist of marketing, specialist of specialist in of engineers, specialist in finance, specialist in HR, etc. Right? So for each department now they can have the expertise of the people of the relevant field, which they could not afford it in entrepreneurial form of structure. And similarly now there is a you can say little broader structure. So there is a career opportunities, like in a person is hired as a marketing officer, then he may becomes assistant marketing manager, then he or she may becomes assistant as a marketing manager, and then marketing director or something. So there is a career path in it. Disadvantages are, it's an empire building. Now you're going to build an empire, so it requires a lot of resources. Slow down the process because too many people are involved. Conflict between the functions, means conflict between the departments. You see, marketing people says that we cannot sell the product. Why? Because the production department is not making quality product, right? Now production department might be saying that we cannot produce a quality product because finance department is not giving us the sufficient you can say finance to buy quality raw material. So you see, these kind of conflict might exist between the departments. So this might, you can say, affect the quality of production. This might affect the profitability and productivity of an organization. And last one is the cannot cope with diversification. Still it's not that big that it can diverse its operations into various products and related or unrelated products as well. So these are some pluses and minuses. You can even add more to it. So the basic objective is to give you the concept, right, so that you can attempt the paper, that what is the difference between functional and departmental structure and the entrepreneurial culture. So if any kind of questions come, so you can distinguish when there are departments, when there are functions, so it is a functional structure. Third is divisional or product structure. Now it suits to a bigger organization, right? A structure of where organization is split into several divisions, right? Now each division is what is one autonomously overseeing a product. Now there's a division for every product. Previously there was a department, right? So we were producing few products and all the departments were managing those products. Now for each product we might have separate division. Like here example is given, if a automobile company is there, so for car manufacturing they might have different divisions, right? So for car there might be different, and for motorbikes there might be a different division. Similarly they can also have a different division based on the geographical area, right? For one country they might have one division, or one region they might have one division, and for other it might have other. Like as it's mentioned, for US they may use one division, and for Europe they might use another division. For Asian market they might be using another division. Similarly they can also make division by the customer, right? Separate division look after the corporate clients and private clients. You see, it means the point is that now the organization is at a very large level, at a very big level, that they have even now made the entire divisions to look for a specific kind of clients, or to look for a specific kind of a product or a specific area. So for one area we are making a complete division, right? So each division is likely to have functional structure. You see, now within division, no, there is entire functional structure, as we discussed little earlier. Means now within a department, now there within a division, now there might be finance, HR, production and other department. Then for another division we might have the same structure, finance, HR and all these things. Then for the third division we may have like similarly production, procurement, logistic, transportation department, whatever, right? So in this kind of structure is called as division. Now you see, you can see it's a multi-layer you can say kind of organization. So with all the department, it needs to order to operate in its particular market segment. So it might be for area wise, it might be this segment might be client wise, and this segment might be product wise as well, right? So here you can see the structure is board of directors, then one division, then second, third, four, five, right? Now within each division, here is a marketing department, here is a HR department, here is a finance department, here is a procurement department, and so on. Similarly for the second division, similarly for the third, fourth and fifth division. So this kind of structure is called as divisional structure. So division are likely to be run as profit center. Now each division is considered as a separate kind of unit, right? So their profit and loss is calculated, their revenue expenditure is calculated, so that we can see that whether division 1 is performing better or division 2 is performing better. So each division is separately identifiable part of overall organization. So this is the entire organization, you see, this is the entire organization. Now each is different. So what happened, which is often referred to as strategic business unit. So these divisions are sometimes also called as SBUs, strategic business units. Now how division 1 is operating, what is the profit and the loss, how much expenditure we are having. Similarly, organization can also calculate how much resources we are dedicating for division 1 and what return it is generating. Similarly for the 2, similarly for the 3, etc. So it might be again a client wise or a product wise or an area wise, whatever structure organization is following. So, but the point is that they can calculate the profitability, productivity, efficiency of each division, and they sometimes call it as strategic business unit. So this is one business and these are these SBUs of that organization. Clear? What are the advantages and disadvantages? It's simple, enables the growth when there are so many people working together, pooling the resources, so obviously it may lead to the growth. Career responsibility for product division, clear responsibility. Each division is responsible for their own division, right? So they let's suppose, as we mentioned earlier, one division is for motorbike and other is for car. So the car manufacturer division will be responsible for their own production, procurement and finance and everything. So they will be focusing on the cars, right? Similarly, what happens, training and for the of general manager. Now it's a big huge organization, so they can have a lot of trainings for their employees as well, and especially for the higher management. Easily adapted for further diversification. You see, now this was a point which we discussed earlier as a disadvantage of the previous two structures, that they could not go for diversification, but now this organization is purely flexible and adaptable for diversification. So now they can diversify their business from one product to another, from one location to another, or for one type of client to another. Even they can go with a related diversification or unrelated diversification, right? Top management free to concentrate on the strategic management. You see, now the operation levels, these divisions are looking at all these operations and functions. At a higher level, the executives are now busy for making strategies. Now they are not involved in a very lower level kind of activities where their operational activities are performed or functional activities are performed. So for them, they have their own divisional head who is responsible or looking for all these matters, that how well the operations are going on or the functional structure is operating. So at the top management is now is fully free for making the strategic decisions on the strategic long-term plannings, 5 years plans, 10 years plans, and for making joint ventures or acquisitions or mergers, or you can say starting a new ventures, right? So they can now concentrate on it. So these are the advantages. Disadvantages: potential loss of controls. When the more the people are, the more the departments are, the more the complexity is, so it's getting more difficult to control the entire organizations. Similarly, lack of goal congruence. Now you see, now there are so many departments, so many functions, so there might be they might be losing the harmony, right? So there is less harmony in the organization. So one might be like, is he going in one direction, another division might be going in another direction, just to prove their own profitability and their own worth. So means the holistic approach, they may lose holistic approach in it, right? Duplication, you see, there might be some services which might be duplicated, since for every division there is a finance department, for every division there is a marketing department. So one services might be, you can say, duplicated. What if they could have been merged and used one services and could have saved the cost? Specialist may feel isolated. So you know, each division, in each department there is a specialized person, so he or she may be busy in his own field, so there might be a sense of isolation that is taking place, right? Allocation of the central cost may be problem of where to allocate resources, how much and to whom, at what might be the criteria. It might be a problem for the organization as well. So these so these are some of the advantages and disadvantages of divisional structure. Next is geographical structures. Now it's simple and clear, as the name clarifies, that there is the division of the structure based on the area, geographically divided, right? This is similar to the divisional structure but involves each decision covering specific location. Now this is not product based, but it is based on the what, in a location. So as you can see in the graph in the chart, board of directors, one division north, east, south, and then within south division then there are various departments, finance, HR, etc., etc., right? Similarly, marketing, procurement, production, logistic, etc. So for example, a global company may be split into different divisions based on geographic areas, right? Like division that looks after the organizations, Asian operations, and other might be looking for European, other might be looking for America. Similarly, so especially those companies which are global companies or multinational companies, so they sometimes divide the entire structure into these kind of divisions, like one is for Asian, one is for Mexican and these Latin American countries, one is for, you can say, European countries. So in this way, or Middle East, right? So in this way they can make the divisional structure. Advantages are similar to the divisional structures. You see, what enables the geographical growth. So wherever one division is working, so they can focus on that area and they can understand the culture of that area, they can understand the social norms of that area, and they will be providing all the products that are relevant and that are matching their needs. So in that particular area, organizations may grow. Similarly, instead of making one policy for across the globe or across the market, it might not be that suitable. Allows local decision making. Yes, wherever you are and wherever you're operating, so you can make the decisions at that level for your product. Similarly, clear responsibility for areas. Yes, for southern regions, people are responsible for that area and their market development, customer satisfaction, quality, etc., etc. And similarly for other regions, other people. Training of general managers, as I explained earlier. Top management free to concentrate, you see same point. And disadvantages are also similar to the divisional structure, so the way I explained earlier, right? Now next is the matrix. Now this is the combination of functional and divisional structure. Now we have divisions as well as functional. The aim of the matrix structure is to combine the benefit of both. Now we want to, the organization want to gain the benefit of the functional structure as well as the divisional structure. So whatever are the advantages of the functional structures, organization also want to avail that benefits, and whatever are the divisional structures, organization also want to avail those benefits as well. Okay, so here it's a kind of structure it will make: senior management, then functional structure. You see, in function what we have: production department, sales department, finance department, HR department, R&D department, and so on, right? Now within a production department, then what happens? Now we have a product structure: production manager A, production manager B, production manager C. Similarly here, sales manager A, sales manager B, sales manager C, and so on. Similarly finance, similarly R&D, etc. Now this is called as matrix. So where we are combining the functional and the divisional structure. So the matrix requires what? Dual reporting of the two managers. So here you see this manager might be, you can say, reporting to manager A as well as to production department manager as well. So he or she is responsible to report his or her manager as well as to the divisional manager as well. Its advantages are means that advantages of the both functional and divisional structure, whatever we are like advantages we have discussed in functional structure, they can also avail it because it has the function, as they also have the divisional structure, so they can also avail all those benefits which we have already discussed. Flexibility is there, right? So the entire structure is flexible. You have the function wise working, so you are flexible. Its focus on customer orientation. All the focus is for customer. So whatever is the demand or the needs of the customer, so departments and functions are focusing on it. Encourage teamwork and exchange of opinion and expertise. Now when this kind of mix is available, so now it's a kind of a nice blend of cross functional teams which can generate the synergy, right? So they can now create a good work, they can create a team spirit, and then it will encourage the productivity as well. So when there are you can say cross talented people or multi talented people, so we can get the benefit of the expertise of all the different types of people. Disadvantages: dual command. As we mentioned, when there is duality, means duplication. So means if I have to report one person and as well as I have to report to another person, so when you have two bosses, so it's difficult to manage, right? So sometimes there may be conflict among the bosses as well, right? So dilution of functional authority. When you see functional authority might be diluted. Why? Because you see in a functional approach, usually we just report to our own immediate, right? So in one function is department responsible for one thing, but now here we are having functional as well as divisional, so it's a kind of a mix. So functional authority might be diluted by the divisional managers or divisional heads as well, right? Time consuming. We have to have different types of heads, so they'll always be sitting together and may have meetings and meetings and meetings, right? So it's usually said that it's a kind of a joke that meeting is a place where to save the minutes we consume hours, right? You know, after the minutes we take meetings we take minutes of the meeting, right? And so it is said that just to take those minutes we say waste the hours, right? So too many meetings may be a time consuming and wastages, higher admin costs. So when there are a lot of structures, complex structures, so there might be higher administrative costs as well. So these are some of the disadvantages and advantages of the matrix structure. So the sole purpose is just to explain you that how many forms and types of structures are existing in the organization, so that you can understand the organizational natures, right? So, and for exam purposes, these advantages and disadvantages are explained, so that whenever a question comes, so you can easily assess that now this is a matrix structure or this is a divisional structure. Now this is the characteristic of a you can say functional and not the divisional, right? So there will be you can say a help for you in attempting the exams. Now here is, let's test your understanding. So far we have discussed various forms of structure, so let's see how much have you learned so far. Okay, under the functional structure, each department operates as strategic business unit. Number 2, matrix structures will enable rapid decision making within organization. Are these statements true? Which one? Or both of them, or first only, the second only, or none of them? Yes. Okay, I'm giving the time, think over it and recall whatever you have learned and then select the option. Or you can pause the video, think over it, ponder it and decide it. Okay, I'm going to show you the answer. The right answer is D. Why? You see, under the functional structure, each department does not operate as strategic business unit. Under the divisional structure, it is a strategic business unit, right? So the separate part of the business unit operate as BU is in a divisional structure, not in a functional structure. So first statement is wrong, clear? Second, the matrix structure will enable the rapid decision making. No, and this is one of the disadvantage of the matrix structure, right? Tends to require time consuming and tend to slow down the decision making process. So neither of the statement is true, so the right option is D. Clear? Okay, another question. MPLC is a large company that operates in a country G. It manufactures several different products, each of which is highly complex and extremely specialized. Its sales have grown significantly over the last several years, with each of its product producing a roughly equal amount of M's overall revenue. True? Okay. Which organizational structure is it? Geographic, divisional, functional and entrepreneurial. Once again, I would say pause the video, reread it, think it and figure out the characteristics before you see the answer. Here is the answer. The correct option is B. Why? The M has several complex product. M company has several complex product. So when several product, it's more divisional, right? A structure that create a separate division to look after each. It's not geographical because it's not mentioned how many areas it has been operating, right? It's a divisional. Since it's not functional, why it's not functional? Because we have several different products and each is highly complex, extremely specialized. So we have studied the specialization comes in divisional structure, and it has grown significantly over the last years. I mean, this organization has a lot of growth, has seen a lot of growth, right? So obviously it's not an entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurial is an organization which is small. Functional is also an organization which is little bigger but not that big as M company, and obviously it's not geographic because it's not, no information has been given about the geographical area. So the right option is B. Done? Okay, another structure that we have is boundary-less structure. It's very simple. You can its name is self-explanatory, and it is known as contemporary model of organizational design. You know what is contemporary? Contemporary means nowadays it's mostly prevailing, which adopts a more flexible approach to structure. It's a more flexible approach of the structure, which is boundary-less. It's an unstructured design. It's a kind of a structure which is unstructured and is not constrained by having a chain of command. We will explain it later in detail, or a formal departments, with the focus instead of being on flexibility. So the entire focus is flexibility. What? Entire focus is flexibility. Unstructured, there is no formal chain of command like I will report to Mr. A, Mr. A will report to Mr. B, Mr. B will report to Mr. C, Mr. C will report to Mr. D, and so on. If I have to get an application signed, so first it will go to department of office A, and then it will move to office B, and then it needs approval of office C. So you see, it's a lot of chain of command and a lot of kind of formal structure. No, these kind of thing does not exist in boundary-less structure. It's flexible, it's adaptable, it's more modern, it's more contemporary, right? So then there are three forms of boundary-less organizations: hollow, virtual, and modular. First one is hollow organization. Hollow, as the name clarifies, hollow. So what in hollow organizations are doing? They are doing one thing. They divide the functions into two categories. One is core functions, core activities, and the second one is non-core activities. What does it mean? Core means which are very important functions, strategically important function, and anything which is not that important, so that is being outsourced to the other organization. Outsourcing means getting other organization services to do that job. So refer to the contracting out the aspect of organization work to specialists provided. Like how you see an accountancy training organization. The organization is accountancy training organization. Might outsource less important functions. What? Like payrolls, right? Another book of accounts maintaining to a third party organization specializing in payroll processing. Core functions. What is the core function? Since it's a training organization, so its core function is training the accounts students. So they will keep it with itself, would be kept in-house, right, and undertaken by the employees of the company. So what does it mean? It means if a accountancy training organization, they just focus on the core activity. What is the core activity? Training the young accountants, or you can say professional accountants, or whatever people they are having, and the rest of the other functions which they perform, they might ask other companies to do it for themselves, and then they pay it. Like the payroll, so they can ask another company which is expert in payroll, so they just pay them and then get the services done. So such kind of activities are if organization is performing such kind of activities or following such kind of structures, so we say it is following, it's a kind of a hollow organization. Second is virtual. It's again the name clarifies, virtual, boundaryless, right? Organization outsource what? Many of its function. Previously what happened in hollow? They used to divide all the functions into two categories, core and non-core. Here they say they outsource many of its functions, and they what do they simply exist as network of the contracts. Very few functions being kept in the house. So organization, let's suppose performing 10 functions, so they might give 7 to the others and outsource them, and the very few 2-3 functions they might be providing they might be doing by themselves. So there is a typically what happens. So for that obviously they need very less staff, right? small central staff within a virtual organization. So main people they may need in their central office, and the rest of the job they might be asking for the other people to do. Nowadays you can see internet has done a lot of you can say ease in it, so you can even give your task to other people through online, and you can get it back, and then you can do the rest at your home, means within an organization. So if any organization is doing this, so they're called as virtual organization. Like you see, many internet retailers could have been seen as virtual companies. Their product are bought in the form manufacturers, sales are delivered to the customer by the third party courier, and even their website may be maintained and hosted by the external IT specialist. So nowadays more internet or IT companies they are going on virtuals. And the last is modular. Modular organization, rather than simply making their own product by themselves, what do? They break the manufacturing process down into modules. The entire production process, the entire production process is divided into different modules or components. Now each component then can be made by the company or outsourced. Now it is the company who decides that whether we will you can say go with we will produce this or we can outsource it. So in short, if a company is producing a product, now it's more manufacturing related, right? Previously it was more IT related companies, now it is more, what happened, sorry, yes, here it is. So it's more now manufacturing related. Like you can see, as example is given, a mobile phone manufacturer may pay external manufacturer to make some key components for its handsets, such as processors, screens, memory cards, or batteries, or other things, right? And then these are then assembled by the manufacturer along with the other component. So you see, most of the components they are asking others to make it, and then the rest they make it. Like for example, if we take the example of a Toyota, so they might ask one company to make the batteries of it, other companies to make the tires for us, and other companies to make a paint for us, and another company to make, you can say, sofa seats and seating setting for us, right? So like now they are getting all these products manufactured by others. This is called outsourcing, right? So they outsource all these, and they might be designing the engine only for the cars, right? So in such cases we say it's a kind of a modular organization. And in some extreme cases, what the companies do, they do not manufacture a single part, rather they ask the other companies to make the parts for them, and they only do assembly. They just assembles the parts and make the final product. So there are so this is a very extreme form of modular organization, where they do not create or manufacture any part of the product, rather they ask the different companies, or they outsource it from the different companies to make that such product for them, and then finally they assemble it for themselves, right? So I think it's sufficient for today, and we have discussed a lot of things today, a lot of formal structures, and we have discussed matrix form, we have discussed divisional form, we have discussed you can say virtual, modular, and hollow organizations, like boundary-less organizational structures. We have also discussed entrepreneurial. So I would in fact advise you and request you better go through it again, study it, because there are a lot of details. Also study your books, it will help you out. You can also search internet and cross-examine the concepts that has been delivered, so it might help you in your exams as well. So I think this is sufficient for today. We have done so far 2 quizzes. In next lecture we will continue this chapter, and then at the end of the chapter then we will have some quizzes as well, right? So take care, have a great time, and if there is any confusion, question, or query, write it to me, And for other videos beside the ACCA video, there are so many videos which is available free on the YouTube for you on personal development, on career counseling, and like other subjects for especially students of BB and MB, where a lot of concepts related to marketing, management, HR, and these kind of subjects, research, especially those who are interested in doing research. So they can also have a lot of videos at my channel, that is youtube.com/Kokab Manzoor. So all that is free, it's a gift from my side, so you can watch it, share it with your friends, and can have a great can add value to yourself and to the environment as well. So take care, see you next time.